Hello friends, so I'm a little late starting off this vlog for you. It's officially February 6th. I'm not feeling my best. I seem to have gotten some sort of cold or some sort of nasal thing going on, and it's starting to settle a little bit in the top of my lungs. It's not COVID, believe me. It's just a cold. And I haven't had one of these in a long time, so my battery's gonna die. I'll be back. Alrighty, I've got you plugged in now, so we shouldn't die. So let's talk to you about what I've read. I've read a decent chunk so far in the month of February. So I'm going to pull up my little Canva lists and we'll make sure we talk about as much as I can. Is it not going to work? Hold on. Hello, friends. I'm back. I have showered. My camera has charged. So we are good to go now. So with all of that said, let's dive into what I've gotten read so far in the month of February. So when it comes to books, I have only completed 4. All of them have been digital at this point. So let's go ahead. I keep trying to open the wrong thing here. Well, one was physical. I just think it's in the other room. So first up, I finally finished A Soul to Heal by Opal Rain. So with A Soul to Heal, this one took me a lot longer to read, because it does deal with some tropes that I don't necessarily love. There is some dubious consent going on here, and we also have a pregnancy trope situation. I think the way that Opal Rain handled all of that was really well done, but those are just tropes in general that I struggle with. We also have a heroine who is very deep in a depressive state at this point. So she is very hard to understand and get along with at times, because of this deep depression. So all the content warnings, all the triggers, it's a rougher read than A Soul to Keep was for me. So do know that. I think it's brilliant still. I'm giving it a solid 4 stars, even though it took me so long to read, because I feel like the second half really picked up and carried the story for me, but the first half was really rough. So that's why I'm ending at a 4. The next one was a reread for me, and that's A Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Christina C. Jones. I didn't realize it was a reread, kind of like Cupid's Bow, till I was about halfway through. And I ended up really enjoying my reread of that. I love Christina C. Jones, so I do plan on reading a lot more of her in the upcoming year. I'm hoping I can maybe sneak another of hers in the month of February if I can. The next book I have here is How to Protect Bookstores and Why. This is a nonfiction about not giving in to things like Amazon and supporting bookstores, because even Barnes & Noble falls into this category now. Even though it's a bigger chain, it still needs a lot of love and support when it comes to the big box stores trying to come in and swoop into their market. I mean, even Target and Walmart are carrying manga now, so you can't just say you can only get that at the bookstore. So there's a lot going on there. I think it had some useful information. Being a bookseller, I came at it a little bit differently than most, I think. So my opinion on it will be a little bit different. But I'm not going to give this one a rating right now. I don't rate a lot of my nonfiction that I read. But I do think it's a useful piece, especially if you want to know how to better support your indies. I think it's a great nonfiction you can look to for that. The other book that I've gotten read is Eleanor and Gray by Brittany Cherry. So this is one that was recommended by Bree from In Love and Words, and this is one that falls into a trope that I don't necessarily love, where you're spending half the book watching them fall in love as teens, and then the other half watching them fall in love again as adults. I do like that it wasn't necessarily back and forth so much. It was very clearly the first part was their teen love story and the second part was their adult love story. So I appreciate that it was broken up that way. It was a little easier for me to digest. And, you know, when they're teens, they didn't have sex ever. So I can appreciate that. There are some things that didn't age well with this particular book, like the love of Harry Potter and some things like that. So those didn't age really well. I mean, the modern daytime was based in 2019. So it was shortly before all of the things we learned about J.K. Rowling coming out. That didn't age very well. I do think the story as a whole is good. I think I would have almost rathered it just be the second half of the book, with maybe a couple of glimpses of the key moments of them as teens. Like the time they first meet. Like there's 3 or 4 scenes in that early part of the book that I think were essential that they could have sprinkled throughout a novella of the other story. So that's where I'm feeling on that front. But the other book I'm currently working on is my reread of Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. This is the beautiful Barnes & Noble exclusive annotated edition. I'm about a third of the way through, I'd say, close to half, 150-ish pages. Clearly, I'm having a good time. You'll see that vlog closer to the end of the month, I believe. But you'll see this before the end of February, and I'm really thoroughly enjoying my reread of this one. Let's talk about manga. So there were a couple of nights where I couldn't really sleep very well. So I read volume 50 through 61 of One Piece, which is 12 volumes of One Piece. So we finished up Thriller Bark, did all of Impel Down, did all of Marineford, and everybody got reunited. That's essentially the key big words of what happened. One Piece fans know what I've dealt with. And if you were oblivious to One Piece and what's going on within it, those are just words to you. So I'm not spoiling anything here. But again, I thoroughly love my read of One Piece for the first time. I'm having a great time with it. I'm probably going to read a little bit more as I'm dealing with the stress of this month. As starting tomorrow, I'm beginning to open the new store that I'm going to be working at. So it's going to be long days. It's going to be rough, and being a little bit sick is not making me happy right now. Gonna be honest. The next 4 volumes that I read were for a try 3, but the cliffhanger at the end of volume 3 was too much for me. So I had to read the 4th volume. And this is Black Panther and Sweet 16. I'm gonna save my thoughts for that video, so you will see that relatively soon. And then I started some things for a new volume 1 video. So I'm just gonna list those out here quickly. So I've got In the Name of the Mermaid Princess, My Dog is a Death God, Steel of Celestial Shadows, or of the Celestial Shadows, I can't remember. Tokyo These Days, Gazing at the Star Next Door, Obey Me, the comic, and the Shunji Family Children. I think that's all of my volume 1s I read. Let me double check. Yes, those are all the volume 1s. So I do have a couple of physical volumes that I own. Everything else has been digital or borrowed at this point. So I did read volume 2 and volume 3 of Love's in Sight. I'm still really loving this one. We have a mostly blind girl and her delinquent little boyfriend, and I love their love story. This is only going to be an 8-volume series, so I know it's not going to drag on like Kaguya-sama or Komi Can't Communicate. So I'm really excited to continue to enjoy the trajectory of these two adorable beings and their love story. Volume 3 added a lot more to our visually impaired character and her friend group at school. I think they did some really cool stuff with this volume, so I'm really looking forward to continuing so that I can get a little more from that. The next one I have here is She Loves to Cook and She Loves to Eat, Volume 3. Now, this one, again, check the triggers on it. They're at the beginning of the chapters, but we have a new character introduced that has disordered eating, and so there's a lot of stuff centered around that. And then we do meet our more butch heroines. We get to see the dynamic of her family, and it's very toxic and abusive. So do know that going into this. I do think the way everything's handled is beautiful, and I really love how these two just naturally bring in this other friend, this new neighbor, and are very kind to them while they deal with their things that have just kind of been their thing all the time. And then one of her online friends gets introduced into the group, and it's been really fun because they're both starting to explore their feelings for each other outside of together. We are prepping for Valentine's Day in this volume, so I'm very much looking forward to volume 4 where we'll get Valentine's Day. But again, I love these two so very much. They are two sapphic characters that I love wholeheartedly, and I think they are absolutely fantastic and precious and pure. And we talk a little more about the asexual spectrum in this volume as well. So I really loved that discussion and the way it all came about and was presented. I've got a hair in my mouth. So I would highly recommend this series for its multiple queer representations. So I'm here for it. And then we also have The Moon on a Rainy Night, Volume 2. This is another sapphic romance featuring 2 teens. In this one, we have another character that's hearing impaired. Or this one's hearing impaired, the other's visually impaired. And she is very clearly homosexual. We don't really know. She could easily be more like pan or bi. So we don't know her exact representation at this point. But the things with her family dynamic kind of come to the forefront a little bit. And then we deal with some stuff at school so that she is learning to fit in. And we're finding the one teacher who kind of understands what's going on because they're naturally an introvert. And so I think it's really well done. I really appreciated everything that happened in this volume, and I'm looking forward to picking up the third. I'm just trying to not pick up the next volume in series before I've read the one that I own. So I'm trying to be a lot better about that in 2024. Volume 3 is out or should be out any day. So I'm planning on picking that up relatively soon as well. So that is my current February update. I don't have too much more to say about anything. Obviously, my thoughts on all the stuff in the Volume 1 vlog will come, but that'll be its own video, and you might not get it till March. So just know that that's coming. My opinion on those are coming. So I think that's it for this clip. Sorry it was such a long first clip. I'm hoping to have better clips going forward for this vlog. So if not, this might be kind of wrap-up style, which is okay sometimes. Okay, friends. So today's a big day. Today is the first day we get to go inside the new Barnes & Noble store. So I'm very excited. This is the first time, obviously, that I've had an opportunity to help open a new store. And this is something that our area, we're getting a lot of new stores this year. So it's something that I'm going to have opportunities to do over and over and over again. So I'm getting really excited about it. And so it's super rainy outside. It's kind of a gloomy day for such an awesome thing to be happening, but that's okay. I'm really excited and I'm really nervous. And I'm a little bit sad that a lot of my coworkers that I love from my other store aren't going to be here. I haven't talked too much about my last night at my other store just because I get too emotional thinking about it. So when I'm ready to talk about it, I will. I love that store a whole lot, and there's a lot of reasons why, but we'll talk about that in another video. But I'm really excited. Like, we've got our new pretty sign, and it's going to be the new Barnes & Noble layout, which I've gotten mixed opinions on. Some people love it, some people don't. So ours is going to be a fairly big store. It's not going to be just an itty bitty tiny store, which I'm really excited about. So if I can sneak any clips in here, I will. But yeah, since this is a part of life and it's bookish, I thought it should be in the vlog. So anyhow, I'm sitting in my car waiting to go in because I'm excited. Very excited. Okay, so end of day 1 of new store done. I am exhausted. Today we mostly got everything kind of set up. Tomorrow's bulk delivery day, so that's the day we get all the books and start getting them to their areas and getting it all set up. It's going to be a rough setup tomorrow where we're just throwing things on shelves, and then we'll do fine-tuned setup over the next couple of days. So I'm very excited because I already found out I'm in charge of manga, which makes my heart super happy, and I'm very much looking forward to it. It's going to be good. I was able to ask some questions of my boss of specifics, so I can just go, and it's going to be good. And I'm exhausted. I hate that I'm a little bit sick. That I feel like that affected my speed today and made me run slower than normal. But hoping a good night's sleep tonight and a good dinner and a good breakfast tomorrow will really help my energy. I'm going to take some meds so I'm not super achy tomorrow and all that kind of stuff. So I'm very excited about the new store. Again, I can't show too much of the inside yet. I'm able to on our social media though. So if you want to know, I will leave the store social media down below. You can get little sneak peeks there. But since I'm vlogging for my reading, I thought I would do that. I didn't get a chance to just like tunnel in an audiobook today, but maybe over the next couple of days I'll get a chance to. So my current audiobook is also a reread that just makes me happy right now. And that's kind of going to be a lot of my reading for February, I think, is rereading or something that's quick and easy. So I'm re-listening to Resonant Surge by Nalini Singh. This is the most recent addition in the Side Changeling Trinity series, which I've been loving. And it involves the bear shifters, and the bear shifters are my favorite. The baby bear gangsters I love, and just the bear clan in general I really love a whole lot. So this is why I wanted to reread this particular one, because it just warms my heart in so many ways. So yeah, that's what I'm currently reading. At home, I'm occasionally picking up a volume of manga, or I'm working on my reread of Archer's Voice for my annotation vlog that will come out towards the end of the month. So here we are, February 7th, and things are looking good for the store. I get more and more excited the longer I'm here. All right, friends, day 2 is in the bag. Today was bulk delivery day, so we sorted all the product to where it's supposed to go, like its little area, its little zone. And then we started unboxing things. I started unboxing in manga, and I am exhausted, but I ended up doing quite a bit. I'm going to take a clip tomorrow morning and insert it here of how it's looking. Right now, it's just roughly alphabetized. It's not anything too crazy. They are having us group like series together, so that's slowing me down a bit. But I should be able to get everything unboxed tomorrow, and then hopefully start doing some more detailed alphabetization and numerically getting things in order. So that's the hope, that's the plan. I didn't audiobook today, but I think I will tomorrow. I forgot to mention I'm still buddy reading Thousand Autumns 3 with Lindsay and really loving it. Having a great time there. I always do with the Donbei. Like, they're just fun to me. And so now I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna continue to hydrate. I'm gonna rest up. When it comes to my cold, I feel pretty good. My voice is still gone and I'm coughing a bit, but I've got the right concoction to manage the congestion and the aches, so that's good. I only started to ache right towards the end of the day, but by then I'd been hauling boxes around constantly and been unpacking boxes, been doing all of that for about 8 hours outside of like a half an hour lunch and some 15-minute breaks. So I don't feel bad about what I got accomplished today at work. Hi friends. So we've now skipped to Sunday the 11th, Super Bowl Sunday. So we're heading into work right now, and I need to update you on what I've been reading because we've been able to audiobook the last couple of days, and I'm blowing through a bunch of them that I've got. So, yay for Read What You Own, me knocking down a bunch of my audiobooks. So, first up, I did finish my reread of Resonant Surge. Really loved that, really loved revisiting that world. Cannot wait for the next installment in the series because the macro plot will blow up. I also really love the romance in this particular one because we have the female Grump and the male Sunshine situation. And I do like when they reverse that a little bit more than when it stays traditionally the man is the Grump. So yes, really, really like that one. Sorry, it's kind of cold. So, well, not kind of cold. It's cold. My card had frost on it. Let's see. After that, I read The Starter X by Mia Sosa. This is one of those situations where our female heroine, to help pay for her college and everything, she had a side gig where she would date people were interested in and, you know, would do just enough to kind of hook the guy and then start being awful so that they would start to notice the person that had hired her. And that worked really well for her for a long time. And then she's like, I'm not doing this anymore. And then her sister finds out that that's what she'd done, like years later. And her sister asks her to do it one more time because she's in love with her best friend's brother, who happens to be her sister's age. And so things kind of go from there. It takes the consequences, I think, are adequately, they both take some time and figure out what they would look like outside of that lie once that all comes down. So I appreciated how it all came about. I mean, you kind of see the disaster coming from a long ways off, but you don't fully understand why it would be a disaster until it's actually happening and it's explained, which I appreciated because, you know, the hero is very much like, I've been betrayed, I don't like lies, and you're like, okay, well, I want to know the deets, who did this to you. And then when you find out why, you're like, oh wow, that was a big lie, we understand why you're this way now. So yeah, I think Mia Sosa did a great job of handling it. She deals with the Latin and the Latine community in that one, and I think it's very well done from what I can tell. Granted, that is not my community, so I cannot speak for it specifically. But she consulted a lot of authors like Adriana Herrera and things with the writing, and I don't think they would have let her get away with anything that wasn't authentic. And, you know, there is talk of food, there's no use of words like exotic, nothing like that. I think it's done very, very well. Granted, Mia Sosa herself is half Brazilian, half black, half African American. So Mia Sosa is part of this community in ways, and she consulted other people who were probably closer to the community she was specifically trying to represent. And so I think it's very well done. Really enjoyed it. The next one that I listened to after that was Back in the Saddle by Vanessa Vale. This is the second book in the Bachelor Auction series. I read the first book last year for my cowboy romance reading vlog, and I really enjoyed that. So I saw that that was up as a freebie in my Audible subscription. So I'm like, I'm going to listen to that today. Are you paying attention? No, you're not. Let's go. Sorry. And this is a second chance romance. And the way that this one goes down is really interesting because it's one of those, the dad intervened as she was about to go off to college. You don't deserve her, back off, blah, blah, blah. And the dad threatens to withhold her tuition. And the part of the tuition he was going to pay, she was partially on scholarship. And so, of course, the guy doesn't want to take away her future, so he backs off. Finds out a while later that a woman who says she hooked up with him is pregnant and says it's his. And so, you know, he is doing everything he can and finds out that she was playing him all along. It's not his kid. but he saw that she was not doing anything to take care of herself while she was pregnant, documents all of it, has a really good paper trail, and ends up having full custody of this girl who is his daughter, like, in everything except biology, and paid off the mom, essentially, because she was a druggie and all that kind of stuff. But the girl he had left behind sees him come back with a kid, does the math, and doesn't like it. And so he always thought once he made a better man of himself, she'll come back around, she'll try, and we'll move forward, and I'll finally get my happily ever after. And it never happens, and it never happens. And then this bachelor auction happens, and so she finds out that day by accident that this daughter is not biologically his. And so, she's like, well, now I need to get revenge. And so that's kind of how that all starts. They end up working through things, and it's really, really lovely by the end, and I really like how that turned out. And then the last one that I finished, I'm like an hour away from finishing another one, but that'll be in the next clip. So the next one I finished was Wyoming Wild by, I believe it's Sarah Eden. This is one that I picked up used when I did my Second in Charles video, but again, I was able to check out the audio for free, so knocking out a physical makes me really happy. And this one is just a really fun kind of like, historical Western romance, and I just had a good time with it. I like Sarah Eden's writing. She writes the angst and the tension really, really well. These are very, very, clean romances. Sarah Eden is a LDS author, so she, won't ever write you an explicit scene. And yeah, I had a really good time with that one. I just think the way they wrote the suspense and the intrigue worked really, really well for me, and I just had a lovely time with it. So that's kind of what I've been reading. Store update is books are going on shelves now, and it's been going amazing. It's starting to come together really, really nicely, and I am just really having a good time. I've got all the manga that we have on the shelves. It's not enough to fill our shelves, I can tell you that right now. And then I started working in romance. I should easily finish up romance today, and then there's a little bit left in our science fiction and fantasy area, so I'm going to finish that up today. And then if there's any time left, I'll probably go help in fiction, just because it feels like fiction still has a lot to do, so I'll probably go help them. So anyhow, that's kind of where I'm at. And my life is literally work right now. There's nothing else going on other than my partner and I watching BattleBots in the evenings. That's like the only other thing that's been going on. But now we're basically current with BattleBots. The new season hasn't started. That starts, I think, in April. I don't remember. It's starting relatively soon. So when that's back up and going, we'll be watching those as well. And I'm so cracked and chapped, and yeah. Hello. We are back in the car. The work day is over. It is still Sunday. I knocked out 3 sections finishing today when it comes to getting everything all set up. So that was great. Book-wise, I did finish Mr. Hockey. It was fine. I mean, the final conflict was a bit overdramatic, and considering how overdramatic the actual conflict was, I think the reactions were done well, but it's fine. I think there are way better hockey romances out there. It was like a 3. I mean, it's not bad, but I have no desire to own it, so that should kind of tell you where I'm at on that. So after that, So it was Let's Get Quizzical. So this is a rom-com centering around a quiz show that's a second chance romance. These two met in high school, you know, through academics, through, you know, he was from the quote-unquote wrong side of the tracks, had a dad who kept getting into trouble, and he was afraid of getting in trouble and kind of left her high and dry in a situation. But what happens is they both end up on this quiz show because he wants to pay off debt so that his dad doesn't have to work like 2 or 3 jobs, because, you know, his dad has turned around his life. He's doing a lot better, not in and out of jail anymore, that kind of stuff. And then she has an ailing grandmother, and her care is getting very expensive, and her dream has always been to be on a quiz show. And it was like this specific one that she's able to get on with him, and they work in a team. And there's some behind the scenes, quote unquote, rigging of the game stuff kind of going on. So the way all of that was handled, there was one point where it got a little like too much for me, where someone went a step further than they had to, and I didn't love how that felt, because I felt like it was done strictly to raise the stakes when it was already fairly high stakes as it was. So but the heroine and the hero, them learning to trust each other and come back to one another, I really liked that journey for them. I think it was really well done. Again, not another big winner, solid 4 maybe, just because of the one thing, but I really liked the dynamic, the fun facts. I mean, when you look at something called Let's Get Quizzical, this gives you exactly what you sign up for, so that's why I give it a solid 4. It didn't do anything extra to give it any more for me. It delivers on what you think you're gonna get, except for the one over dramatic thing that happens. But it, you know, it wasn't anything that like turned me off to the book necessarily, but I got to a point where it's like, well, that wasn't necessary. Like, why did you go that far? You already had it at a pretty high stakes thing. Why did you take it that extra step when it wasn't necessary? The way it all resolves, I really appreciated, because it wasn't magically better in 2 days. Like, time passed, things had to get put in motion, and they both had to come back to each other on their own. And so, even though they both wanted to be back together sooner, they had to find their own way to it, and they had to make their own decisions on it. So, I think it was really well done. But yeah, that's kind of reading update. Audio booking at work has been, I'm thriving in that element right now. So yeah, we're going to start doing the sections that are going to be a little tougher starting tomorrow. So hi. So let's do an update that's not in my car and with my nice camera. So since I talked to you last, I have finished a couple of other novels. Let me pull up the right thing here. So the next thing that I read for this vlog is called Breakout by Avon Ellis. This is a hockey romance series, but this particular book did not follow a single hockey player, but it is very centered around hockey. So we have our female character. She loves to create edits of the Dallas Demons hockey team, and she's in the stands creating some edits because that's her dream, is to work for like the newscasting department in their editing department. And this guy, like, a puck starts heading towards her, and he like knocks her down. And he, of course, he's handsome, and they start talking, and she starts talking about what she's doing and the editing and all that kind of stuff. And then she finds out he's the new guy that they've brought in to be like the director, producer of the hockey segments on the show. And so because he liked what he saw from her, he says, hey, I need someone last minute to fill in for an edit. Can you come do it for me? And he ends up getting her a job. And as they get to know one another, things develop. And I liked it fine. Like the other book I read in the series, it's like a 3.5. Nothing super exciting or brand new there, but it's fun in its own way. And then the other one that I ended up reading yesterday was called Fire by Molly McAdams. This is a marriage in trouble romance. This is one where I think we spent too much time in the past, not enough time resolving things in the present. So this one was really, it only worked. It didn't fully work for me. So this one was a straight up 3. I think I would read other books in this series, because it's like a whole series and a whole group of brothers kind of situation. And they do have a bit of a Western element to them, but he and his wife are currently running the B&B in their small town, and a old mistake from the past comes up, and the wife's reaction is valid, at least her initial reaction, but she kind of isn't willing to listen to anything. Like, he can't even explain himself because she's so upset. So again, I think her reactions in the situation are very realistic. And I appreciated that for the story that was being told. But at the same time, spending so much time in their past, I don't think it left enough time to fully resolve things in the present. So it didn't quite work for me. I would try this author again, because in theory, I like what she's doing. I think the execution of this particular one didn't quite work, so I would try reading from her again. And then my current read is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. And this is kind of going the way of Love on the Brain for me, where I'm not really loving it. For some reason, Love Hypothesis, I gave a 4-star. Love Theoretically, I gave a 4-star. Love on the Brain, I gave like a 2-star. Thinking back, I probably really gave it a 3, but it's more like a 2 for me. And Check and Mate is kind of falling into that category for me, where there are just things about the story that are rubbing me wrong, and I kind of can't get over them. So one, this girl is 18 and way too casual about sex for me. My 18-year-old self is way too emotional and could never be that disconnected and just constantly hooking up with people, to the point where the younger sisters are like, are you here to have sex with my sister? She has sex a lot. And I'm like, this is really what we want to put out there for 18-year-old girls? Like, no. The hero I like fine. I don't know enough about him because we're only in her head. I feel like I need his perspective to kind of flesh this out, but I'm not getting it, and I don't think I'm going to. So that's kind of another duck in that category for me. So that's kind of where I'm at with Check and Mate. The whole premise of it being centered around chess is working fine for me. I don't know enough about chess to say whether things are accurate or not. I just don't. I've always felt like I'm too dumb for chess, if I'm honest. I know that's not true, but I feel that way. So anyhow, that's kind of where I'm at with my reading. You'll probably get one more update, and then I'm going to call this so that I have time to edit it and get it up to you guys on my day off. Because I do still go into work today. I have the later 11 o'clock one like I did yesterday. So that is where I'm at. So I plan on finishing Check and Mate. And then I'm not sure what I'll pick up next. Like I say, I have a bunch downloaded, and we'll just kind of see what happens. I have a Beverly Jenkins contemporary, and I'm kind of leaning towards that just because I've not read any of Queen Bev's contemporary, so I kind of want to. So I think that's where I'm going to end up. That if I can get my hands on At First Spite audio, then I might do that instead. So, okay, friends, let's finish out this vlog. Today is February 14th, so happy Valentine's Day. I have been a potato most of the day other than working on this edit. I have edited everything together to make sure I didn't miss anything to tell you. So let's quickly wrap this up. I haven't skipped any books or any manga. I haven't finished anything else. So let's go ahead and talk about the last two things. So I did end up finishing Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood, and this one ended at like a 3 for me. I do think that her being so casual about sex bothered me too much, and I do think that affected my rating here. Maybe it's, and I know that some people are like that, but I don't know. Maybe it's the innately raised Christian in me that doesn't love how that feels and putting that out there so casually for teenagers to think so casually about sex, because sex has major consequences, for one thing. And for two, I'm just one of those people that the idea of casual sex is hard for me, period. So putting that out there so casually for people so young when this is a book geared at a teen audience was a little much for me. So I'm fine with teens having sex as long as it is consenting and with protection. Like, I have no issue with that. It's the putting it out there that at barely 18 you should be on dating apps hooking up with anybody and everybody that I struggle with. So anyways, them as a couple I liked fine. Everything else worked out fine for me. So that's why I'm leaving it at a 3. The next thing I read is definitely the best thing I've read so far this month, and that is At First Bite by Olivia Dade. I do have the NSFW cover up here because this is depicting a particular scene that had me bawling at work because I listened to this at work. But this book made me laugh. This book made me cry. This book made me feel the entire emotional gambit. This book made me feel seen in a lot of ways, and this reminded me a lot of why I fell in love with my partner. The hero in this one reminds me a lot of my partner. There is much caretaking in this particular book that worked really well for me. So initially she is engaged to our hero's younger brother. The younger brother is not a reliable human being. And so the brother was trying to our hero was trying to talk his brother out of getting married because he knew the brother wasn't responsible. Everything would fall back on him to take care of him and the brother and this new wife. And so she overhears this and thinks very differently about how he thinks about her. And this is after they'd had the first time they meet. They have a brilliant conversation. They get along really well. They hit it right off. And then they find out that she's engaged to his brother. And so that doesn't go well. He can't stop thinking about her. Obviously, her and the younger brother do eventually break up. And so she still moves to this small town called Harlot's Bay. And because she had bought a house for him for the younger brother as a wedding present, and they call it off a month before. So she still moves into the house and gets a job there. And what she doesn't know is she's right across the alley from the bigger brother, who was kind of the antagonist of everything. And so it is their enemies to lovers romance. And once they both get to know one another, they realize they didn't understand one another at all, and that they had preconceived notions. And the younger brother is clearly irresponsible. He still takes the honeymoon, is gone to Hawaii for like 6 weeks. And during that time, these two become very close and fall in love. And they'd already had baseline feelings for each other when they didn't know who each other was. And so it was really easy to get back to that. And in this one, our heroine is kind of our grump, even though he is also grumpy. She does have more sunshine in her than he does, but she is also very, very depressed with everything that's been going on. And she hits a major depressive state within this book. So if you have depression, be prepared for that. I wasn't exactly, but I did okay. To the point where she literally shuts down, doesn't let anybody in the house, doesn't leave the house, has groceries delivered, doesn't take good physical care of herself, anything like that. Like, it's bad. And this man conquers his fear of heights to scramble across a ladder into her third floor window because he is so worried about her and he doesn't have a key. And so he climbs into her house to find her and take care of her. I love him. And it doesn't stop there. It gets to a point where once they've kind of settled into he's going to help take care of her, he draws her a bath. He does everything he can to take care of her. And during their discussion and what she's talking about and the state of her depression at that point, he just climbs in the tub with her and holds her and talks to her. And they talk through things, and it's beautiful, and I love it. And this is why I need this cover now. And I am crying just talking about it. Like, we're just going to have, another vlog where I cry talking about a 6-star book. It's fine. It's what I do. You'll get used to it if you're new. So I love this book very, very much. I do like the growth that the brother goes through. I would like to see the brother get a romance once he's kind of figured out his crap. So I'm excited to see what would happen for him. But this whole little town also is obsessed with monster romances. Like, the surly man at the bakery that, like, barely talks to anybody loves monster romances. And he plays it loud on it, like, his audiobooks out loud until, like, it's opening time. And I love it. And it gets to a point where she's trying to antagonize the hero. And so she starts playing these monster audiobooks out loud for the whole neighborhood, and they all get hooked on them. And I'm kind of dead because I love it so much. And there's so much to love about this book. Like, this is by far and away my favorite Olivia Dade book I've ever read. And I really love her books. Like, almost all of her books have been at least 5 stars for me. This is a 6-star. This is top tier. I love this book so much. I love Olivia Dade for it. I cannot wait to see what she does with Harlot's Bay. I'm really excited to see because there's a lot of characters introduced because this is the first one in a new series for her that I would love to see their romances, and I can't wait. So with that said, we're going to end this video with me teary-eyed about a book, which is not anything new. And if you are here and you made it clear to the end, leave me your favorite Valentine's Day related emoji, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.